Mission Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we have the Iron Man 3 Starboost figure from Hot Toys. So of course, obviously many of the Iron Legion armors are being released by Hot Toys. This is of course one of them. And I've been, going back and forth on which ones to get because I'm not going to buy the entire Iron Legion and I didn't even want to buy most of them. Just wanted to pick out a few that I really thought were quite unique and were worth spending a Hot Toys price for. This happened to be one that I was willing to do that with. And it's kind of strange because actually when I first saw the design for this armor, it was nothing too special for me. I really have not liked the overall design of the Starboost. It's not that I didn't like it, just it was nothing special to me. It wasn't one of my favorite armor designs in the at all. So when the Hot Toys pictures came out, that's when I started to kind of change my mind there though. The Hot Toys pictures are what really got me into the look of this armor. When the movie and all the concept art for the movie, really the Starboost armor was really nothing for me. So it was one that I would have thought that I would have definitely passed on, but when the Hot Toys figure went on pre-order, it was one that I couldn't resist because of how unique it was. So yeah, so let's go over the actual figure and what he comes with. Alright, so here's the Starboost out of package, but before we go into the actual armor, let's go over his accessories. Alright, so you get the standard assortment of hands for the Starboost that you get with most of the Iron Legion figures. Obviously you get a pair of fists, a pair of repulsor blast hands, and a pair of articulated finger hands. Overall, basically all you need, because obviously the articulated finger hands do the poses that you need, so anything that you can think of, you can do it with those. Obviously we do need separate hands for the fists and repulsor hands, is because the fists, the articulated hands can't make that tight of a fist, so it is nice to get a couple sculpted fists, as well as the wrist joint needs to be a little bit tilted on these repulsor blast hands to get his hands in a proper position. So overall very nice. They all look quite good. There's gold in the knuckles at the bottom of the repulsor hands fingers, as well as you can see the gold in between in the knuckles of the fisted hands. My only problem is the articulated fingers. The joints aren't gold, and I would have really liked them to be gold. Maybe there was a reason that they're not, but I'm not sure. It would have been really great to get gold inside the knuckles, because I have to say, having the repulsor blast hands on or having the fists on look really nice because you can see those gold knuckles. It looks really cool, and I definitely like that a lot. And with the articulated fingers, you don't get that, so that's a major flaw in my opinion. And from what I can see, there isn't a valid reason as to why they're not gold. So I would have definitely preferred them to be gold, and thought for a figure of this price, we should definitely get the best. And that is unfortunate not to see the best detailing in one of these sets of hands. You also get a second faceplate with the Starboost armor. As you can see, it is one where the eyes are not clear, they're not meant to be lit up, and they're just gold. And this is for his, I guess, entering the atmosphere, faceplate that he puts up. I'm not sure. Obviously the suit is meant to go out in space, so I would assume that the eyes are closed to be able to break the atmosphere of a planet without destroying the glass in the eyes, which is a clever little idea. Obviously I'm not quite sure if we ever see him like this, because the only time that we would see him like this is if the lights aren't on in the suit. So I'm not quite sure if this is like a second faceplate that comes down, or just the little shields in the eyes pop down when he's about to go out of the atmosphere. Something of that manner, I would assume. But it's pretty nice. It is all the way back like this, so you do attach the entire thing. I will say it is very hard to do it. One of my biggest things that annoys me with this figure is how hard it is to take off the battery pack and the face sculpt, and then to put the face sculpt back on. I still feel like I can't get the mouth on right. It's a little annoying things like that bug me about this figure. Other than that, though, very happy with it. So of course the Starboost, being an Iron Legion armor, comes with the standard Iron Legion base. It is the flight stand base, looking quite nice. It of course looks like the base that is in Tony Stark's workshop. That's kind of what it's based off of. Overall it's nice. It's a cylinder. The original one had the little side pieces did light up, which is really cool. And of course this still has the battery compartment that is not able to be opened, and it does still have the button that is kind of sealed in. So although it should be able give it a light up. They cheaped out and didn't give us lights, but we already know that that's old news, so I'm not going to harp on it. The flight stand pole is quite nice, screws in well. Although on this one, what happened was I actually got mine and it didn't screw in all the way. It like stopped right, you know, before it hit the bottom, which made me a little worried that it wasn't in too securely. So I did contact Sideshow and they did send me a replacement. This, of course, is the replacement. So yeah, so you might want to look out for that whenever you get an Iron Legion figure. Make sure that the pole screws in all the way and doesn't stop before it's already touching the base. Overall, looking quite cool. If you do have restrictions in where you can display them, if you need it to be shorter, what you can do, which is a very easy thing to do, and I've done it on a couple of my bases, is just unscrew these 4 little spots, and then this bottom cylinder, this part right here, will be able to come out, and then you'll just have the top section, and then the top section, there will be little poles which it'll stand on, and it works really well. It doesn't damage the base at all. You can always screw it back on. Actually, I think I've unscrewed this one and screwed it back on. I'm not quite sure, but it's very simple to do and not an issue at all. If you need it to be a little shorter, but we'll still want him to be in a nice pose where he's flying up and he's clearly flying up, you can do that. Nice, easy little fix that does help for displaying purposes. So yeah. Alright, so I can't really talk about a face sculpt because it is, of course, just a helmet. So now let's just go straight on to the actual suit, the actual design of the armor itself. Overall, it is quite good. I will say it's relatively simple in the fact that it's a lean suit that's, you know, obviously has the normal proportions and things of that nature, but it has more paneling, more detail in the paneling, a different paint scheme, and an extra back piece that just really make it pop on the shelf. It's definitely something that's noticeable and you know, makes it quite different from the original Iron Man suit that we all know. You know, Silver Centurion and even the Heartbreaker in some ways are relatively simple, are relatively similar to the regular Iron Man suit, while this one is in the same proportions as the regular Iron Man suit, but very different nonetheless. So overall, the actual armor is quite good. As you can see, the head sculpt is different. I do like the faceplate, the way that it goes all the way over his head. I think that's pretty neat. And I like the little piece on the side of the face that does extend. Gives him more of a toughened kind of cheek almost. Very nice. And I do like the vents that come down off of his shoulders there. Look really nice. They do say intake on the valves there, and it is kind of burnt like he's been burning fuel, which is really cool. I like that a lot. Just minor things like that really help a figure be noticeable. I do like the honeycomb effect in the black. It's also not quite a black. It's more of a charcoal gray, which I do like. You know, the black is nice and everything, but I do like it when it's slightly more of an interesting color, which it is in this case. The backpack is very cool. I don't have the battery pack on it at the moment because I will be showing you the lights in just a second here. But overall, liking it a lot. In his abdomen section, he has many small panels. It is a very different type of ab section that I've ever seen. Obviously, most of the Iron Man, you can extend them and then he can move a little bit in the abs. This, he's got many different, all these little panels move and push in and stuff. So, you know, he's a bit almost like scary to do anything with because it feels like you might mess up one of these, or the panels on his spine. You know, back here, these all move too. So it's very. This guy is a relatively nervous figure, as far as you're going to be a little nervous moving him around. He's got a lot of panels that kind of flop around sometimes, and then obviously with intricate panel detailing on the thighs that wrap around all the way to his back, and different things of that nature. It feels like he is a bit fragile. It feels like you can break off a panel at any time. Now, as long as you're somewhat careful, you shouldn't have a problem with that at all. So I would urge you not to worry about it too much, but it is just something to mention there. The thighs, they do have the same feature that the Silver Centurion had, which I like very much, and that's where you can extend the thighs down so that he can move them up higher, which I do like a lot. He's got double hinge knees, and then the knees, when you do have them bent, the knee panel, once I can move the camera down so you can see it, the knee panel there does kind of stay out, which I do like a lot. Now, some people don't like these long knee pads. I think that they're quite cool and definitely unique, and I find them really neat. And if you do like it, you can split it up just a little bit higher, or you can keep it down and make it very noticeable and very much split up. but I do like that a lot. The double hinge knees really work well and are well articulated. And then at the feet there, I love this paneling at the feet. Very cool. You get the front panel, you get a back panel that can move up, of course, and then you get these side panels that don't have any articulation, but they do come down past his feet. I think it's really neat. I guess it's just to make him a little bit more aerodynamic so that he can breach the atmosphere and go into space. So I love these paneling on the ankles. I really do. It makes them very unique and fresh, and it doesn't hinder articulation on the ankles too, so you're not getting a good looking armor but sacrificing articulation for it. You get the good articulation with the nice armor, so I do like that a lot. He's definitely a very interestingly designed armor. Going over his light up function, which is pretty cool. Obviously he does have a jetpack, the on and off switch. Now you're going to have this panel that's going to be attached there so you can't see it. So, and I haven't tried to put this on again, but the first time that I took it off, it was very difficult to get off. So maybe once you have it off the first time, putting it on and taking it back off is relatively easy. But from what I can see, it's a pain to take back off. So I would say that I'd recommend just leaving this off until you're ready to take the batteries off, because unless you're really picky, just having that little back panel off isn't a bad thing. As you can see, looking really cool. Even with the lights on, you can see the lights, which is really cool. With these lights on, my lights, you can still see the light up function on him, which is neat. Turning those off though, so you can get a much better look. As you can see, you get some really nice lights at the bottom of the jetpacks right here and on the sides. Very cool, and you do get like a honeycombed or dotted effect, which I think is very neat. And what's really cool is that that they're very bright and noticeable, and they look pretty awesome. I must say, I have to say, looks really cool. And then when you do that, the chest does light up as well. I don't think that, yeah, I couldn't, no, I don't remember. I can't remember if I put in the lights on the head there, but I really do like the lights on the backpack and chest. They look really cool, and I like the way that the lights light up on the backpack a lot. It is a shame that it's obviously not that noticeable because it is in the back, so you have to be looking at them from the back to even notice it. But that being said, it does look wonderful, and would definitely highly recommend that you at least put the lights in on the back so that you can see the backpack lit up, because it is quite cool. Alright, so to go a little bit more in detail of his arms, now there's a couple things that are worth mentioning here. The wrist guards, obviously this is something that they do differently on almost every figure, it seems like. There's always a different way that they're doing it. A lot of, before with the Mark 7 and things like that, you had an extra wrist piece that you put on that would be normal for fist and for articulated fingers, and then would be tilted up for repulsor blast hands. Then you had the Silver Centurion, where the armor, where the wrist armor was already attached onto each and every hand, and that was the strategy. That was the one that I liked the most. So now this is obviously very new. It's a piece that is I guess it's a separate piece. I believe it might be removable, but it's not. Oh, sorry, it's not meant to be removed. It's in his wrist, and then you get this, which can be swiveled. So you can swivel it to adjust to where the hand is actually, and then it's on a very loose hinge, so you can hinge it up for his repulsor blast hands. Now, I prefer the Silver Centurion way of doing it, where each hand comes with a wrist guard. I like that a lot better than this, but this isn't too bad. This is something that before I got this figure and I heard about it, I thought that was going to be a major pain. It really didn't turn out too bad. It works quite nicely and better than I expected, although it is very loose. So if you have him with his hands up or anything, chances are the wrist guards are going to fall like this. So that could be rather annoying. I find that this panel that hides the his battery pack for his arm, for this arm, same thing on the other side, that does have a tendency to pop out relatively easily. So that was just something I wanted to mention, as well as these panels do fold up and move out of the way for his waist, or for his hip articulation, which is really cool. And then the shoulders are really unique, and I always love it when I get an Iron Man armor that has some unique point of articulation, and this is definitely one of them. He does have the Mark 42 style, where he actually has like two cylinders in his shoulders that do extend outward, and by that I mean, as you can see, his arms do extend outward so that you can have them almost looks like that he's bent out of place, but they extend outward at an angle, so you can position his arm where his arm is further over his body far more than he would be without that, and then with the swiveling bicep you can do it really well. A very neat point of articulation. I would hope that we see this extending out shoulder joint in more figures, because it is definitely something that's really cool. Now I will say the shoulder joints are extremely tight, so it does make it relatively nerve-wracking to move his shoulders up and down because it's so tight, especially on this side. It just, even though I've moved his arm a relatively large amount of times, it still is incredibly tight, making it very nerve-wracking to move the arm up, because you really don't want that shoulder joint to break, of course. So that is something worth mentioning, and it doesn't seem to be just on mine. I have talked to other people who have the same thing. I've also seen reviews where the same thing has happened as well. The neck articulation is relatively hindered. I mean, it's not like super hindered, it's just a lot of the other armors have better neck articulation. I guess it's just these shoulder pads that kind of come down as with the large cheekbones. He doesn't look down very much. Like when you have him just looking straight down, he looks great, but when you have him over, like, you can't get his head where he's like looking down at an angle, which is quite annoying. As well as for an armor that's supposed to go up in space and everything, I would have liked his head to move up more than it does. It moves up a decent amount, but I would have liked him to go into more of the Mark 7 territory where he can actually like really look up very far. They could have easily done that on this figure, and this would have been a great armor to do that with, but unfortunately they didn't. Alright, so just some size comparison. Here he is alongside the other Iron Legion setup figures, I would say. As you can see, he's maybe a smidge taller than the Silver Centurion, just because of his kind of bulkier feet and maybe slightly higher up neck, just little things like that that give him a slight height advantage. He's certainly not like super noticeably taller though. And then of course, compared to a normal figure like Tony Stark, he is definitely very much taller than, because of course Tony Stark has to be inside of that armor, and of course there's armor on the top of his head as well as on the bottom of his feet that will give him more height, more of a height difference. So of course he seems to be in pretty great scale. There he is with the Igor armor, of course. As you can see, he looks quite nice. So I'd be pretty happy sticking with these 3 Iron Legion figures as my representation of the Iron Legion. At the moment, I don't have any plans to get any more of the Iron Legion figures. Bones and Stryker I am both considering, neither of which I am planning on getting at the moment though. So I could very well get both of them. More likely I'll just get one of them though, and then it's also possible that I'll get neither. So possibly this is it for me, and if that's the case, I'll be very happy, because I did seem to get a really, I'm very happy with my choices of Iron Legion figures. I got one very different, very large, eye-catching Igor figure, which is just great, and definitely a really unique. I've got one that's a little bit more towards the standard Iron Man look, but is also a well-known armor from the comics, and that comes with a nice Tony Stark face sculpt inside of him, as well as it was an armor that was used a lot in the movie, so very happy about that. And then I got a very unique, but still not unique because it's a weird shape. It's unique because it's got a nice armor design, as well as it's got very unique colors in it, but does still stay with the same basic design of a normal armored figure. So very happy about that. So far, if they do shotgun, I'll totally buy shotgun. Other than that though, I don't plan to get any of the other figures that they haven't shown yet, if they do end up making more. So yeah, so there you go. A great Iron Legion setup in my opinion. So overall, I like the Starboost armor a lot. I think that it's got a lot of really unique and neat things. Now, if you have like all the other armors, then obviously there's nothing too new with him, because the cylinder arms are from the Mark 42, the extendable thighs are from the Silver Centurion, and just things of that nature. His articulation standpoints are relatively taken from other armors. So if you have a lot of the other armors, there's nothing too new in the form of articulation with this guy. But what's really quite new is, first of all, his color, the very shiny cream white, along with the charcoal gray honeycombed effect with some gold highlights, is obviously a very new color scheme, which is really cool. The jetpack, although it's nothing too amazing or different, it is still new and pretty interesting, as well as the concept of what this armor does is quite cool and definitely opens up possibilities for the Marvel Universe and things of that nature. Overall, I do like the suit a lot. The paneling is very unique and very different, and I would definitely recommend this one as one of the best Iron Legion figures to get, because he holds a lot of appeal in the fact that he's unique, but that he's not too different, as well as he costs, you know, just about the price of a normal Iron Legion figure, so you're not going to pay Igor prices or something of that nature to get a character that was only in the movie for seconds. Overall, do enjoy this figure a lot. I'm definitely happy I got him. Definitely, I would recommend this guy based on what you collect with the Iron Legion. The Iron Legion is a very strange thing for Hot Toys, because they obviously are very characters that are in the movie for not long at all, so it is of course going to be a pick and choose situation for most collectors. I definitely like this one a lot, and thanks so much for watching.